Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a really restful break. I really missed you, so I'm very pleased to be back with my first video of 2022. Today I'm going to be talking about the zero waste habits I'm trying to build in 2022. So I wanted to take the habits that I had started to think about and test the waters with last year and really build upon them this year. I don't think that our journeys towards getting better at something or learning a new skill is ever linear. I truly believe that it's full of mistakes and bumps and failures, and this is something I'm really trying to embrace this year. Behavior change takes a lot of experimentation, so I wanted to share with you my starting point today and then share throughout the rest of this year how it's going and what has really helped me and what perhaps wasn't so good in my approach to building new habits this year. Learning new skills is something that I am always a huge proponent of, and this is something I started really trying to focus on last year and I am definitely bringing into this year. So I just want to say a massive thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video before we get into the rest of the habits that I'm building. If you haven't heard of Skillshare before, it's an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning, and it's a great way to invest in yourself and your personal growth. I first was interested in Skillshare when I wanted to learn more about productivity and how to make better YouTube videos. But now that I found that there is an even wider array of classes than I initially thought, I've moved on to Etka Chowdhury's indoor gardening, grow houseplants, veggies, and herbs. I truly believe that being a student is such an incredible thing, learning more and trying to build upon our skills every single year. If you're interested in checking out Skillshare, the first 1,000 of my subscribers that click the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I've been trying to learn how to cook and trying to learn more from scratch and more seasonally as a way to try and create a more zero waste way of eating in my home. So this year I want to cook more and experiment more with food waste. Whenever I'm reading about sustainability or climate change, food waste always comes up. How we can use our resources in a way that is as sustainable as possible. And of course, wasting food is not just wasting that item, it's wasting all of the resources that go into growing that food in the first place. The labor, the water, the sunlight, the nutrients, the soil, everything that goes into our food. And this is why I really wanted to experiment more with food waste and try and make it an exciting thing. I've been looking at loads of different recipes online already and trying to figure out and understand how other people are using food waste so that I can ensure that anything that has to be wasted is an absolute minimum. Here I'm just making a delicious hearty vegan stew, trying to use up anything that was in my fridge. We had a celeriac that really needed to be eaten, and so I love to look at recipes online to find different ways to explore and use up old things that probably would have been wasted. Chestnuts are a great example of this. After Christmas, lots of people just simply buy too many and waste them, or they have bags in their fridge that they just have no idea what to do with. So for this hearty stew, I used the avant-garde vegan recipe, and then I just adapted it to my taste. So I adapted it to also include food waste. So I found this recipe because it had celeriac and that's what I wanted to use, but also I could add chestnuts to it and it would be just delicious. It wouldn't sort of take away from it. I also added a little bit more red wine than it called for, and then instead of making his sort of cheesy dumplings, I decided to make my own vegetable suet ones because those are my absolute favorite. I'll put all the details in the description below if you want to check that out. So the second habit that I want to build upon and implement this year is really understanding and learning about composting and fit a proper composting system into my parents' house. At the moment, we have one that doesn't really work. They used to have an open one, but they attracted lots of rats, so they had to disband that one. I'm trying to find the best solution for their home. At the moment, I just put everything in a huge kind of bin outside, but that's not really conducive to a successful composting system. So I want to spend quite a bit of time this year learning how all the different composting systems work, and then if you do have an outdoor space, if you don't have an outdoor space, kind of in between garden waste, food waste, what's the best way to ensure that it actually breaks down, what you can compost, what you can't compost. There's a huge array of things to learn when it comes to composting, and this is something I really want to dig my teeth into to ensure that I'm actually doing the best thing for the soil and the best thing for creating richer, more nutrient dense soil so that my parents can use that to grow their food in the future. As you know, gardening has been a massive part of my life in 2021, particularly because I spent a lot more time at home and I spent a lot of time at my parents' house, and they didn't really want to do the garden, so they let me do it instead. And another zero waste habit that I want to implement this year is to find and source more scrap materials to build things that can enable me to be a little bit more self-sufficient, or my parents. So for example, if they want to build a new raised bed, I want to build upon that attitude of where can I find materials first before even thinking about trying to source something that is new. I want to learn more about building. I want to understand more about the soil. I want to understand more about putting things together to create quality products that will last and will enable me to build more things that can be more self-sufficient in terms of a raised bed or a compost heap or things like that. For those of you wondering, and if you're not new to my channel, my visa application to move abroad to live with my fiance has been pushed back again. So I'm sort of moving forward with the idea that I'm probably going to be in the UK for quite a bit longer. So I want to really get my teeth into some new projects and get some building skills prepared and in there. So yeah, that's why I am kind of considering and thinking about these long-term habits, not just about moving, but also about being in the UK as well. And the last one, which I think is arguably the most important, is to practice more buy nothing periods. And it is exactly what it says on the tin, buying nothing. These periods really force me to look at the resources I already have available to me and really makes me utilize what's already on offer. So the library is one of the perfect examples of this. I have not got a library card yet in the UK. I did have one, but then I moved. And of course, many of you have library cards and have mentioned to me many times that I should do that again. So while I've been here, my partner has got a library card so that I can use it as well. So we can utilize what's already on offer, because not only is it a more economic alternative, it is of course a more sustainable option as well, because you're using something that is already in use. I'm still going to buy some digital books because I like to support authors, but I also want to support libraries because these are one of our greatest resources. And another thing is using my bike more. Using it more because it's something I already have. My sister is very kind and services it every year for free, so we do some skill sharing there. But also my bike is just a wonderful mode of transport that I am lucky enough to be able to use. So I have become a little bit less active whilst being in the country because it takes that little bit longer to get somewhere, but I really want to ensure that I am still using my bike. And going back to the composting, creating my own compost for the garden is another way of using resources we already have without having to buy new stuff. The only problem with the compost, of course, it takes several years to break down and to become the compost you can use, but you got to start somewhere. The reason why I also love buy nothing periods is because it just generally makes me learn how to be more resourceful. I would love to continue this conversation in the comments. So if any of you have some zero waste habits or sustainable habits, or just in general, any habits that you are trying to build in 2022, I would love to hear them in the comments below. If you're looking for something to watch next, you could check out my zero waste habits I actually do in autumn, or any of my other habits videos, which I'll put down below. Or if you're looking for some swaps for this year, I've got several series on 100 zero waste swaps you have to try, 100 food waste swaps you have to try. I will link them all in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up because it really supports me in that YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.